We're continuing our trip up a road, and although they have a bike lane here, my wife decided that we would go on the sidewalk to be a little safer. But I think I'm going to switch over to the bike lane in just a little bit, because as you can see here, there are people walking. Good place to show you the see if we can get over here. This is one of the canals that goes through our community. Heading north. Bike lane goes a long way, as well as the sidewalk, so it gives you another opportunity to see some of the roads we have here. I'm going to punch it up to PAS 4. Since I have a headwind, I can go a little faster this way. And as you can see, a lot of people who just don't have any respect for bicycles, and they will go any which way they can. Now, I did spray my brakes again, but I have to clean them. You clean the discs and then that squealing will go away. But usually every other time I go out, it's good. See, the front brake is fine. Yeah, not bad. Have to do the front brake again maybe, but back brake's fine. Hasn't been squealing in a while. That's good. Trying to adjust my side view mirror. That's okay now. I want to keep an eye on my wife as she travels with me. We're actually now heading west, away from the Intracoastal and the Atlantic. This road makes a nice turn, 90 degrees. The communities on both sides of me are called canal communities, and they all have canals in their backyards. Perhaps not the ones on either side of this road, but all the other communities, the houses within those communities, have canals which bring them out to the Intracoastal, and then they have to make that 25-mile trip if they want to get to the ocean. But to be honest, the Atlantic Ocean here almost requires you to have a fairly good-sized boat. I'm saying 20 feet or more, perhaps even a little longer. 24-foot, 30-foot boat to allow you to maneuver out there well. A smaller boat, I don't think, would have quite the power and the ability to traverse the swells and the waves out on the Atlantic. But some days are calm, and on calm days, you can take a little skiff out there. Not that I would do it, but you know, life in Florida, they leave you alone to live your life the way you'd like to. And that's one of the benefits of living here in Florida, besides the beauty and the trails and the water. Very nice. So far so good. Now there's a preserve over there I don't think I've ever been into, so I'm going to try to cross over here and go into that preserve and see if there's anything worthwhile to see. So we're heading into the Long Creek Nature Preserve and see if they have some trails here. They do. We'll see what they say about bikes and things. Okay, let's take a look around the preserve. Looks like it may be dog friendly. We have lots of parks here, and I do believe you can go along this long tree trail. I don't know how far it goes, but there's certainly lots of fishing here in one of these canals. All right, we're heading down this trail. Let's see if we can go, how far we can go down it. There's some people fishing. Oh, I see, it just goes back up to the road. That's all right. And we'll continue along the road. I do believe those people were fishing for their supper rather than sport. And I know the trail goes down the other way, but I'm not quite sure how far it goes. It's all part of the park. There was a yacht club on the right. There was a yacht club there for quite a long time, and that is now defunct. I'm sorry to see it because it used to be very nice. There's a guy who just was not going to stop for that stop sign. And the heck with you. Well, he stopped anyway. Something smells good. I wish you had smell-o-vision. There's a Mexican restaurant. It's a cultural center, Portuguese, and they must be cooking because it smells delicious. And we're coming to a road called Frontier Road, and we'll see if Frontier Road has a sidewalk, and I don't believe it does. So we'll have to continue up this road and see where it goes, and see if we can find a place where there's a trail or a sidewalk or a lane we can go on. Very wet area here. Boardwalk across the wet area. You need a lot of wet areas here in Florida to accommodate the water during our rainy season especially, and keep the raised portions nice and dry. And I think they do a pretty good job. another road, but again, no sidewalk or path or bike lane. Now we're coming to one of our fire stations here in town. It says fire station number 24. You can imagine that our town's fairly large if we have at least 24 fire stations, and we do. Now we're heading north again, and we'll see if we can get some kind of a trail to get us back. And if so, we will go that way. If not, we will just head back along this road here. So far we've gone about 10 miles. There you go. Well-mannered, well-behaved dogs. No problems at all. Well, you know, it's pretty much fair game here. You know, you know we're allowed to live our lives the way we want to, and you have to expect that some people may be living their lives differently than you prefer to live yours, and that's the way it is, and that's fine. She's just a nice lady walking her dogs that, you know, are protecting her and yelping. Not too cold now. My hands are fine, my fingers are fine. I think the way I'm dressed is pretty good. All right, I have to see where this ends. I think it goes up to a few golf courses, and perhaps we can come down a different road. I've been going on about an hour. I'm going to try to hold my videos to that length. And on the right is where the road goes into one of the golf courses here. And on our left is a assisted living facility. And we've just gone over 10 miles according to Map My Ride. In a little bit I'm going to wait for my wife again. She's behind us. I don't know why she doesn't keep up, but she's riding at her own pace, which is okay. Well, we found a road that has a sidewalk off of the road we were on, so we'll be able to take this road to another road called Old Kings. This is Forest Grove, and we were on Palm Harbor Parkway. So Forest Grove will take us to Old Kings Road, which is, I don't know how to describe it, a much used road. Was one of the main thoroughfares before they built other roads, and is still used quite a lot today. There is no new Kings Road, it's just Old Kings Road, and some of it has sidewalks, some of it has bike lanes, and some of it has nothing. So we're going to go to a portion that has a sidewalk. We'll be able to take that sidewalk back south again. We're now heading probably due west. Hopefully they didn't deceive me. There's the sidewalk, we're good. Just have to be careful here. We'll see how far the sidewalk goes down Old Kings. Just a beautiful day for a ride. I hope you're still with me and listening. The weather this week is going to get warmer and warmer and warmer. And although it's February here, it's going to be 91 in Orlando, Florida. Now, since we're closer to the ocean and a little further north, we'll be in the 80s. But that's the coldest, I mean the warmest it's ever been in Florida in February. 91 degrees. Gotta understand, I love living here. No more snow, although you get cool days and you get warm days, and it's all just great. You see on the right the natural pine trees here. We have quite a lot of pine in Florida, and below that we have those bushes that are like palm bushes, and they're also, I believe, native to Florida. The palm trees are not native to Florida. They were brought in, and certain species live up here very well, other species do not. So we have the more hardy palm trees up in this area, and down south I'll have all kind of palm trees. And those bushes that look like palms are called palmetto bushes, and hence there's bugs that live in them that look like big cockroaches, and they live elsewhere too, but they're called palmetto bugs. They're not cockroaches, they must be in the family, but they're so big they don't really get in your house too often. I haven't had one in my house in years and years and years. But that's what they're called, palmetto bugs. And those bushes, you can see them here on the left too now. I'll turn. Those are palmetto bushes. And I believe those and those pine trees are native to Florida in this area. Good story. Years ago, when I lived up north, I would travel to where my dad lived in New Jersey, in Florida. He lived in Clearwater, and I would travel from up north in New Jersey and New York sometimes, and I would travel to Clearwater, Florida, and I made that trip 21 times. And then later I made the trip probably an additional 10, 11 times, going to different places, going to Chicago, or maybe going up different areas. But 21 times I made the trip, and every time I did it, there was nothing built where I live now. My community did not exist. There was a 50-mile stretch between St. Augustine and Daytona Beach along Route 95, Interstate 95, that had nothing on it but pine trees and palmetto bushes, and every once in a while a palm, and that's the way it was. A lake here and there. We live right in the middle of those two cities. So if I feel like going to the racetrack or going shopping down there or going to a show or a good restaurant, I go to Daytona Beach South. And if I feel like going to other good restaurants, some of the top restaurants in Florida, around St. Augustine, and I'll head up there about 25 miles or so. So it's a very convenient spot where we live. Just an hour and a half to get out of the state. 3 hours and change to Savannah. 4 hours and change to Charleston. Oh, it's just a very nice, convenient spot. And then if you want to go south, it's about 3.5 hours to Boynton Beach area. and then another 20 minutes to Fort Lauderdale, probably another 20 minutes, 15 minutes to Miami, maybe 20 minutes. And then if you want, you just head west and go out along the Keys and go to Key West. And we have done that. We have driven out that way. We stopped in, let's see, Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. We stopped in Fort Lauderdale, down to Miami, went to South Beach, Miami, which was nice. And then we went to out along the road that goes through Alligator Alley, or actually south of Alligator Alley, which is the Everglades. And you go south of the Everglades and you get to the Keys. And then you go along the causeway to the Keys, stopping at a few islands that are really worth stopping at. They're beautiful down there. If you've never been to Key West, definitely a wish list destination. Beautiful place to be at. You can take a ferry boat to Dry Tortuga and see the fort prison that was built out there. And the only prisoner ever to be out there was the doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth. After Abraham Lincoln was assassinated and they put him in this island, it was a fort supposedly to protect the Gulf of Mexico and the west coast of Florida, but never was needed for that purpose. But he used it for a prison for Dr. I can't remember his name, but it was the doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth after the assassination. I think eventually he was released. He was there a few years. So if you haven't been to Key West, there's lots of good YouTubes. It's a great biking destination. If you haven't done that, just consider it. There's many places to rent regular bikes or e-bikes, and you can travel around. I think a regular bike's about $10 for the day, and an e-bike is about $50 or $60 for the day, and you can go all over the Keys. And there's a lot of places to go to see. You can stop at many of the different spots of interest, like Hemingway's house along Duval Street. And other places. I think there's a good rum factory there, and just other places. The southernmost point on the continental United States is there, and you get your picture by a big buoy that's on the land, painted with all the information. And of course, no matter when you go there, just be prepared to be in line for about a half hour or more, because there's a very long line of people waiting to get their photograph taken beside the buoy. So that's another nice trip. And I think eventually we are getting an SUV. It's on order now. They'll start building it in March. Probably get it in April, May, June, something like that, maybe July, who knows. In that area, hopefully we'll get it, let's see, March, April, maybe in May. And we're going to get a hitch for the back of it that will support our two e-bikes, and we're going to drive to destinations like Key West and maybe Miami, that area, and just drive around and do some nice videos of our e-bike rides down in those areas. Well, this is very nice, traveling on this sidewalk. I didn't realize we could go on a sidewalk up here. I know when it heads south up Palm Coast Parkway, I don't think there's a sidewalk or even a bike lane. So we'll have to figure another way to go. And worst comes to worst, we can go along the linear park back to Colbert and home that way. Just changed the battery. It was almost charged up. It just lasted for about an hour. I had to stop and change the battery. There's Cantina Louie, Mexican street food restaurant. Oh, so they have some nice figures outside. I don't know if you can see them. That's a little mariachi band. But the people in the band are too skinny. Flagler County Office, District 2. How about that? I didn't know it was up here. Nice to go places you haven't been in a while, especially on the bike. Okay. Traveling on the street. The guy was courteous enough to let me go. I think we can go here. And this is Palm Coast Parkway. So we will make a left here. Get on the sidewalk on Palm Coast Parkway. Coming back home. It'll be time for a nice lunch. It's a little after noon as we travel. We've been riding for an hour, 10 minutes or so. Let's see if we can get through this. Yep. Oh, I love those tires, 2.5 inch, no problem. Every time you ride around in the same area as I do here around the Palm Coast, Florida area, you're always surprised by new things that are happening, closures, new things that are built, things that are being worked on. I'm sure if I went on the website you could find all those places, but so far it's been fun just to ride around and get around them. Let's go. So we're traveling along Palm Coast Parkway. We'll get to Clubhouse Road, which should be the next light. And then from Clubhouse Road we can take the linear park back to our road, which is Colbert. Battery is still 49 volts and no segments are missing. So we have plenty of battery power, having gone 15 miles. Typically it says I'm at full power, but you know, you're really not quite at full power. And this is Clubhouse Road, so we'll cross over this and then make a right turn. Kind of odd. It looked like I could go, then I realized, ooh, it was not green for me. And then as soon as I stopped, it turned green. So I'm going to turn here and go back to, I'm going to go back. That was my wife. I forgot to make the turn. on Clubhouse to get on the Linear Parkway. And that I will do. And I'll wait for my wife. Hi. Alright, we'll stop here. Okay.
Why were you calling me?
Okay. I didn't know where you were. Alright, here we are in the Palm Linear Park. It's Palm Coast Linear Park. It's a very nice park. We've been here before, if you followed my other videos. This is called a linear park because it goes along in a green area between the east and westbound lanes of Palm Coast Parkway, which are separated by quite a distance at this point. So up here just a little bit, we'll make a right-hand turn, and that'll get us to where we need to be. We're going to get onto Colbert and take Colbert down, but I think we can take this little trail here. Now that bridge we just went over, I believe, when I was riding my regular bike, manual bike, that I hit a wet bridge there, and it was a bit slimy, and I went down like they say, a ton of bricks. I really went down hard, and I hurt my chest, and that wasn't any fun at all. So whenever you see one of those wooden walkways, boardwalks, and it's wet, you have to be very, very cautious and travel slowly over it so you don't slip. Now this is the part of Linear Park that travels towards the corner of Palm Coast Parkway East and Colbert. Some people would just take the path that we were on and go directly to Colbert and then make a right turn and come right to this point. This is a little shortcut, a nicer way to go. Okay.